Mary working in her home studio in the
Oh
1940s.
my! I love these old photographs. We had them when we did this book some years ago at Disney Publishing. And by the way, we had to really fight and fight hard for years to get this book done. Why, I don't know. You would have thought that Disney Publishing would have embraced this book and this woman
Yes.
and this genius at Disney. But hey, look, I mean, and I talked to the senior VPs over there at Disney, and I know who they are. And I could never understand their attitude of like, guys, do you know who this is? Do you know what she's done? Do you know how important she was to this company, to this organization? That she's part of the Disney legacy. And their attitude was kind of like, well, whatever, you know. And I'm like, gee. And I'm not even talking to a bunch of hard-headed old men. I'm talking to women, VPs, managers, and development executives, I would think would have said, yeah, this is a book that really ought to be done about this woman. And it's like, it was like pulling teeth to get them to finally, now, at least to their credit, they finally got this book done. You know, like, gee, you know, it should not have been a struggle to publish a book on the life and work of Mary Blair. Gee, I love this photo. That's a Disney desk.
Is it really?
That's one of the desks, the tabourets from the studio. All the background artists and the background department. Looks like she just took this home. Oh, this is a great photograph.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of photos that that the editors and the writer, I think
John
John
Canemaker.
Canemaker, yeah. What a great guy. Part of getting this book done was getting John Canemaker to come on board. It's once his name was attached to the project, Disney Publishing began to like, well, Canemaker is recognized as an animation writer, historian. It's almost as though they needed something to give the book credibility, as though the book
Beyond
needed,
Mary Blair.
yeah, as though it needed credibility. It's Mary Blair, for God's sakes. But their attitude was, well, nobody knows who Mary Blair is. I mean, I think their attitude was, outside of you geeks,
Right.
that's how they looked at us, outside
Right.
of you few geeks, the vast American public, the world, you know, they have no idea who Mary Blair is. But I think that's the attitude they have. It's almost as though, okay, you want to do a book on Walt Disney, everybody knows that
Sure.
name, so they'll say Walt Disney. But if you want to say choose a well-known Disney director and say Wilfred Jackson or Hamilton Lusk, or Les Clark, they said the public will say who? And I recognize that publishing is a business, and they're in the business to sell books. And if they can't sell a lot of books,
This one sold out.
that's good.
You can find a used acceptable copy on Amazon for around $150 now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder what their initial print run was.
It must have been small.
It is interesting about, and yet again, I have to go back to publishing as a business, and that's why
Yeah.
I don't take it personally when I brought a book. I brought more than one book. I brought a book to Disney Publishing a couple of years ago, and once again, their decision not to publish the book was not because they didn't like the book, or they didn't think the book was worthy of being published. They felt they couldn't make a sufficient return on their investment.
Right.
So their decision was strictly a business one, and I can understand that. I said, hey, no hard feelings. I don't take it personally. I've been
Yeah.
around too long to take this stuff personally. I said, I'll just try another publisher. So I was incredibly lucky. I only had two publishers. Disney, I went to Disney first of all because I felt they should have first refusal. They said no, they passed on it. My second publisher, I decided to go to Focal Press. They said yes. So, and most writers are not that lucky to get on their very second try to get a deal. And, I couldn't even believe it. I was at work when they called me. I was at work working away, and my phone rang, and they said, "This is so and so from Focal Press." Yeah, what do you want? We have a copy of your book, and we'd like to publish it. They're like, what? I couldn't believe it myself. What? You want to publish my book? Are you mad? It's called Animated Life, and it's the story basically of my experience here at Disney. And it's not a book about me. People say, oh, this is your biography. I said, no, it is not a biography. I just wanted to share my experience at Disney, where a lot of young people, they all often ask me, what was it like when you first arrived at Disney? And I wanted to share that experience. You know, when I arrived here in 1956, when I finally got hired in 1956, this is what I experienced. This is what I saw. This is who I met. This is what it was like. And I wanted to basically to tell that story. And that's why I entitled the book Animated Life. And because it's kind of like my life here at Disney. Not my life, you know, it's not a biography. I'm mainly talking about the company, about me. I'm talking about Disney and the people I met, the projects I worked on. What a grand time I had doing that. Yeah, I met everybody.
Walt Paragoy, was he as salty a guy back then as he is now?
Paragoy, the wild man of animation.
Is that what they called him?
That's what I call him.
Oh,
I
really?
don't know if everybody calls him that. But, Walt today is a grouchy, angry old man.
Yeah,
But say some 30 years ago or more, he was a grouchy, acerbic, angry young man. So he really hasn't changed any. He's just gotten old. That's
okay.
all, you know.
All right. I was just wondering, but some of the
he's,
personalities around the studio.
Yeah, Walt was great, and not only that, he was one of the few people, and I have to give him credit for that. One of the few people who would stand up to Walt Disney, toe to toe, without any fear, any hesitation. When Walt would say, "I don't like this background. I don't like the color. I don't like it," and Paragoy would say, "Well, what the hell do you know about color?" And then, of course, Walt would be furious. That is, Walt Disney would be furious. But because it's really funny, because an artist had the courage to stand up and speak his piece without hesitation, Walt respected that. He might not have agreed with you, but he respected the fact that if you were passionate enough and if you believed enough in what you were doing to fight for it, well, he was gonna, okay, we don't agree, but and I own the studio,
right?
And you work for me,
yeah.
But I still respect what you have to say, and so I had to give Paragoy credit for that. He was not he stood his ground and he fought for what he believed. And even when he got fired off of the Jungle Book, I was working on the Jungle Book back in the 60s, and Paragoy was designing the backgrounds. He had a background style he thought would really work great for the movie. Well, Walt Disney didn't like it. And of course, Walt Disney's name is on the building. He runs the studio. You kind of have to do what he says. Well, Paragoy didn't agree, so Walt fired him off the movie, which is what happens when you disagree with the boss.
What did he not like about Paragoy's backgrounds on Jungle Book?
Boy, it's kind of hard to describe visually a background style. And I often tell people, I say, look, you have to see them. I thought they were great. I loved them. I think they were just too, what's the word, progressive maybe? Too progressive for Walt Disney. Walt wanted more a conservative house style. He turned to Al Dempster, who's another talented background painter, who did a more traditional styling of the film. That's what Walt wanted to see. He wanted trees that look like trees and bushes that look like bushes and ferns that look like ferns. And Paragoy was pushing things and even pushing the color, doing interesting things. Now, we all thought, brilliant, this is fascinating, this is a new approach. Walt Disney, as progressive as he could be at times, did not always like a new approach. I wanted to talk, I think I mentioned that to Tom Hanks. I spoke with Tom Hanks a couple of weeks ago when they were filming on the main lot, Saving Mr. Banks, which is the Mary Poppins thing with Walt and P.L. Travers. And I was telling Tom Hanks, who's playing Walt Disney, how we had come up with a style for the Jolly Holiday sequence. Bert in the movie is the chalk artist, and he draws on the pavements outside the park in London. Yeah. We thought it'd be really cool if the animation looked like chalk art.
Oh.
The drawings look like chalk.
Right.
What a cool idea if they look like chalk. But Walt wasn't going for it. The chalk was an interesting departure, but he wanted the animation to look more like traditional Disney stuff. And we were like, oh no, not that old stuff again. The standard Disney look. We could do something really cool, innovative, and different. Well, Walt wasn't going for it. Because he ran the studio, we had to go with what he wanted. What he wanted wasn't bad, but But again, because we're young and stupid, wanted to try something new, we thought that Walt took the easy way out and blew an opportunity to do something really creative. But he wasn't going for it, so.